Welcome to this already the Wednesday edition of The Price of Business. It is my birthday. Send your checks and our money orders too. I'm just joking. I don't even celebrate my birthday anymore. In fact, I started pulling the Ronald Reagan thing about 2 decades ago of celebrating the anniversary of my birthday. So don't even think about it. Although if you do want to give me something, go to usdailyreview.com, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter, and that would be a great gift to a publication, to a news site that I truly enjoy, and hope you enjoy as well. And great sister website to The Price of Business. All right, we're going to talk a little bit with a mall Santa who's going to give an interesting perspective. He has a collection of short stories out there called The Diary of a Mall Santa. I'm glad it's the diary of a mall Santa and not a mad Santa. That could get scary. But looking forward to spending some time here with our guest, Stewart Scott. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and happy birthday.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I got to tell you, Santa, you've ripped me off now for over a half a century on birthdays because of how close I am to Christmas. My parents reminded me of that of every year. And of course, I was a little kid. I would have never known unless they told me, but they made it perfectly clear. I was getting less because of how close I was to Christmas. But that's okay. That's really between my therapist and me. But tell us about your book. Tell us about your background, your mall Santa experience, the whole 9 yards.
Well, first of all, there might be something special waiting for you under the tree this year, okay?
I'll keep that in mind. That hasn't happened in years, but I'll keep that in mind.
Well, first of all, the general manager of a regional shopping center called me, and this was 5 years ago, and asked me if I would like to be Santa for the mall, and I just jumped at the chance because this is something I've always wanted to do. And I asked if there would be any training involved, and she just told me three things. She said, keep both hands visible at all times, don't promise anybody anything, and watch out for teenagers. So the rest of the job I kind of had to learn on my own, and it wasn't that difficult. I love the job, by the way.
Yeah. So why would they call you? I've never gotten a random call, although, I have the tummy on occasion to do it, and all it requires is a pillow to finish it off. Why are you getting random calls from malls to be a Santa?
Well, I've had a career in the advertising agency business, and this mall was one of my accounts, so I knew her very well. And actually, she started by saying, "Do you know anybody who wants to be Santa this year?" And I said, "I would love the job." And she said, "I was hoping you would say that." And I did have to suit up with a pillow under my shirt too, because I'm not your normal portly Santa.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would have to work on it too, but although it gets easier every year, buddy. But tell me about the experience. So you've only been doing it for 5 years, but you've done it every year for the last 5 years?
Yes, and I've really enjoyed it. Some of the stories were funny, some were touching, and some of them were incredibly sad. And it wasn't always easy to deal with the sad stories, because I just didn't have all the answers. But on balance, I hope I was influential for the children. I loved being with them. I loved the experience. I loved seeing the brightness in their eyes and having the opportunity to encourage them, too.
So you kind of sound like the kid equivalent of a bartender.
Maybe so. None of them asked for a drink, but maybe next year. Who knows?
A little bit of candor that you wouldn't normally get in normal conversations. The guy at the bar will have with the bartender. Well, the kid on your lap who's maybe going through issues way bigger than the Barbie doll or the video game that they want that they thought they would talk to you about. Kind of give us a couple examples of that.
Well, this one's kind of a sad example, but a young man, and he was around 10 years old or 11, and normally children that age, boys particularly, don't want anything to do with Santa. But he came in to see me, and he was kind of solemn, and he looked me straight in the eye, and when we were talking together, and I asked him a few questions. And I asked him, what he was thinking about for Christmas this year, and he asked me if I could get his parents back together. They were in the middle of a divorce. And I just gave him a strong one-armed hug, and I said, I know your parents both want the best for you, and they both love you very much, and they both want to be part of your life. And there wasn't too much I could say to really assuage his anxiety, and I'm sure his parents were going through the same pain at that time. But Santa's kind of the go-to guy, and the children really expect Santa to solve all these problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine the advice of your employer rang true at that moment. You got to be really careful in a moment like that.
Well, yes, you do. But you move on, and hopefully that this child will get through that difficult time. And you never know exactly what you're going to hear. But fortunately, on balance, most of the stories were interesting and kind of funny and uplifting, and those were the ones that kind of keep the children coming back, I'm sure.
Stewart Scott's our guest. He's a mall Santa. And what's your website, by the way? People get more information, learn more about your book.
Well, the website's abbreviated, but it's www.santastew, stew is spelled S-T-E-W, santastew.com.
And Santa's not plural. It is S-A-N-T-A, stew, S-T-E-W.com.
That's correct, yes. That'll provide some information about the book, yes.
The most memorable, humorous story from being a Santa.
Well, there were a lot of them, but one I want to tell because it involves my Houston son. And they visited last Christmas, my son, his wife, and little boy and his mother-in-law. And together with my wife, they all wanted to come over to see me at the mall, and we would have our picture taken together. And it was a festive group. Everybody was having a great time, and my wife was sitting on my lap, and Joey was sitting next to me, and my son Mark and Tina and his mother-in-law Agnes were kind of flanking the chair rather. And right before the picture was taken, my wife planted a big kiss right on my mouth. Well, the photographer was a very efficient college student, and she didn't know it was my wife. And she was ready to call security and have my wife reprimanded for putting the moves on Santa. But when she found out it was my wife and my family, we just had a good laugh over it.
I love it. Check out Santa Stew, SantaStew.com. What do you do when you're not ho-ho-hoing?
Well, I've had a career in the advertising agency business, and so now that I'm kind of semi-retired and doing some consulting work, I do a lot of writing, and that was my first passion. That's what I've done for the past 33 years, and that's what I enjoy more than anything else.
Stewart Scott, thanks for being our guest. Check out his website, santastew.com, and when we come back, much more for you. Thanks for being with us, Santa.
Pardon me?
Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me.
You bet. When we come back, much more for you, and you're listening to The Price of Business.